Today we are exploring a simulation agent-based model designed to examine drug trafficking and dealing activities by criminal groups and their responses to law enforcement disruption. This model is built on data from a detailed court order against a large-scale Italian criminal network, as well as existing research. This model examines the dynamics of these groups' resilience, resistance, and adaptation strategies in response to interventions. So, before we start our discussion, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. I'm Deborah Manzi, postdoctoral research fellow at Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore in Milan, Italy, and researcher at Transcrime.
To begin, could you outline the primary objectives of this model? I mean, what specific aspects of criminal group behavior and law enforcement impact are you most focused on, and like how does the model address the balance between security and efficiency in their strategies?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So, MADTOR stands for Model for Assessing Drug Trafficking Organization Resilience. So, basically, the primary purpose of MADTOR is to evaluate how drug trafficking organizations respond to adverse events, and particularly law enforcement interventions. And these interventions typically involve arresting organization members and seizing the drugs in their possession. So, to better understand the mechanisms at play, MATTOR simulates various scenarios that vary key factors, such as the number of members arrested during an intervention, the specific roles of the arrested members within the organization, but also the number and timing of law enforcement intervention over the simulated period. So this analysis serves a practical and, let's say, policy-oriented goal that is identifying the most effective law enforcement strategies and pinpointing vulnerabilities within drug trafficking organizations. And the implications of these are significant because understanding these dynamics can provide a strategic advantage in combating drug trafficking and dismantling organized criminal groups involved in this illicit market. But in addition to this pragmatic purpose, MATTOR also contributes to theoretical discussion in criminology, and in particular, it addresses the well-known trade-off between efficiency and security in criminal organization. So in simple terms, this trade-off suggests that criminal organization can structure themselves to prioritize either efficiency or security. So we have efficiency-focused organization that more or less resemble legal enterprises. So they often have like a clear division of tasks, established procedure, and formal communication channels which maximize operational efficiency, and this benefit their criminal activities. However, this structure also makes them more exposed and vulnerable to law enforcement actions. In contrast, we have also security-focused organizations that emphasize caution and secrecy, implementing measures to avoid detection by law enforcement. And these may include minimizing communication and public exposure, as an example. And while these practices enhance their security, they reduce operational efficiency, which may limit their criminal success. So criminological literature frequently argues that prioritizing security is the key to a criminal organization longevity. In contrast, we have organizational studies that are not very specific to criminal groups that suggest that efficiency-focused organizations are better equipped to withstand and recover from adversity. So in MATTOR, we model drug trafficking organization with varying level of efficiency and security to explore how these characteristics influence their ability to respond and resist to law enforcement intervention. And this actually allows us to assess how different organizational structure impact resilience, providing insights into both theoretical debates and practical strategies for disrupting drug trafficking networks.
What were some of the biggest challenges you encountered while developing this agent-based model? I mean, how did you approach simulating complex adaptive behaviors of these groups and their varied responses to disruption?
Yeah, I would say that without a doubt, the biggest challenge was finding reliable data on which to base the model's assumptions. So, since we are dealing with criminal organizations involved in illicit activities, there is naturally a scarcity of data about these groups and the dynamic of criminal markets. And moreover, the limited data available is often derived from case studies, which makes it difficult to generalize insights to other organizations. So fortunately, we had the opportunity to access a very detailed judicial document that provided extensive information about an Italian drug trafficking organization involving cocaine trafficking. And this document contained valuable details about the organization, including the role of the members, how the trafficking was organized, the quantities of drugs sold, drug prices, but also rewards given to members for their involvement, and also information about how the group responded to arrests made by law enforcement. And actually, these judicial documents served as the foundation for most of the model's assumption. However, because this information was specific to a single case, we designed the model to be flexible. So we incorporated the ability to adjust all these parameters so that the model could be adapted to reflect the characteristics of other trafficking organizations with different structures and operational dynamics. So,
Based on your analysis, what key behaviors and patterns have emerged from the simulation? I mean, were there any surprising insights into how these groups manage resilience and resistance, or how different roles within the network affect disruption outcomes?
yeah, this is very interesting. I would say that the first very key insight is actually that many drug trafficking organizations struggle to survive even without law enforcement intervention. So these organizations operate in an hostile environment without the support of and in opposition to the state. And this is actually reflected in our findings as a portion of drug trafficking organizations fail to survive the simulation period even when no arrests are made. And this insight is particularly interesting because actually existing literature, often based on case studies, as already said, tends to focus on successful or resilient organization. And we rarely hear about weaker organizations that fail before even attracting law enforcement attention. Besides this, another significant finding is that arresting even a small number of members can actually have a considerable disruptive impact. However, we also observed that the relationship between the number of arrests and the level of disruption is not really linear, since there are like diminishing returns as the proportion of arrested members increases. Moreover, we also noticed that the roles of those arrested matter greatly. So arresting traffickers who often possesses like specialized skills and critical knowledge for the organization is for sure the most effective strategies for disrupting drug trafficking organization. And this is actually aligned with existing literature, which highlights the, let's say, irreplaceability of these roles in the organization. Similarly, also arresting retailers, while slightly less impactful than targeting trafficker, also significantly disrupt organization. In contrast, we realize that arresting like support figures, that is, those that are not directly involved in the acquisition or sale of drugs, has far less disruptive effect on drug trafficking organization survival and on their operations.
You have made this model available to the public and research community using comsys.net. So, could you share any challenges you faced in preparing the model for broader use, particularly in terms of clarity and, usability of the model and its documentation?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think there were significant challenges in this process. So From the outset, we designed the model to be as understandable as possible to others. So the code is extensively commented. We developed an ODD protocol, and we actually provided very detailed narrative documentation for the model. And all of this greatly facilitated the publication process. And making the model accessible to others is incredibly valuable because it opens opportunity for receiving feedback on our work and gathering new ideas for further development of the model itself.
What do you envision as the next steps for this model? Are there plans to expand the model's scope or, test new variables?
So this is really a vast topic with plenty of opportunities for further research. So far, we have published 2 studies based on the model findings. The first is published in the Journal of Artificial Societies and Social Simulation, and it examines the impact of arresting different proportion of members on the resilience of drug trafficking organization, while the second one is published in the Journal of Criminal Justice and focuses on the differential impact of arresting members based on their roles within the organization. Currently, we are shifting our attention to the resilience of drug trafficking organizations that prioritize differently their security and efficiency. And we are actually analyzing our organization with varying security efficiency trade-off operate under normal conditions, so when they are not subject to law enforcement intervention, how changes in the market, such as, let's say, price fluctuation, affect their ability to remain in the market, and how these organizations differently respond to law enforcement strategies, including variation in number, frequency, or timing of the arrest. So these follow-up studies aim to provide deeper insight into drug trafficking organization resilience and the effectiveness of targeted interventions.
So, thank you. Thank you for discussing this model with us.
Thank you to you. It was a pleasure.